Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are joined today by a man who I've known for a very long time, actually. Um, I think we've known each other for a while. I think
Quite
when
a
I was
while.
a young lad. Uh, his name is Eddie
Yeah.
Fitzhugh. I was telling people about this earlier. It's so weird calling you Father Eddie Fitzhugh now. It's so weird. How does that feel to you?
Well, honestly, I have been so. Many people go to seminary right out of college when they're in their early 20s, and so they're known as father most of their lives. I have been in the lay ministry most of my life, and so just now being called father is an adjustment. And it's really taken me a long time what I prefer to be called. Now, I mean, when people come up to me and say, "What do you prefer to be called?" I can't tell. I mean, I can't tell them I would like for you to call me this. I mean, I can't say that.
You should say
What
like
am I going to say? I'm going to
Supreme
say
Father Eddie Fitzhugh.
you call me what you want best. You call me what you feel comfortable calling me. I go by Father Fitzhugh usually. That my formal title is Father Fitzhugh. When written down, it's Father Edward Fitzhugh or the Reverend Edward Fitzhugh. But you know what? Most people here at St. Vincent's call me Father Eddie.
Wow,
I, that's
Father
what they
Eddie.
Father Eddie. Yeah,
So I
yeah.
I, I want to have you introduce yourself and tell you have you tell people who you are. So who are you exactly?
Who am I
Yeah,
exactly?
who are you? What are you doing on Trench Up Alive?
Well, actually, I might ask you that because you invited me.
I
But
did.
no, I will answer your question, not in the form of a question, but I think that social media and internet is really a way of the future. It's a way of getting news out, especially with younger people these days who are on the computer all the time. They're always on their phones. Uh, it We have to use technology in order to get messages out to the younger generation,
Mhm.
and so this is just kind of my way of doing it.
Yeah.
And whatever questions you have for me, I'm more than happy to answer.
Oh yeah, we had tons of questions.
Yeah. All right.
Cause you know me, I've had my on my show we've had Father Hightower, Culpepper, Polly on the show,
Yeah.
and my goal is, and we'll get to it eventually, but my goal is to stump the priest. I want to make them. I don't know, man. That's my goal. That's what I like to do to people. That's what I like to do to priests. It's fun.
Keep in mind, I am a fairly new priest, so go easy on me.
I'll go easy on you. But Eddie, I had you on the show today because as a young Christian myself, my goal is I work at Christ the Redeemer now. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know
And
that.
yeah, I moved churches. I went to Christ the Redeemer because they asked for my help. And
Okay.
my goal is to incorporate the younger audience back into the church.
Yes.
Because my generation is tending to be. Okay, can we talk about these private numbers calling me all the dang time? Do you get those too? I'm
I
doing a show right now.
get them all the time.
Dude, it's so annoying. But my goal is to get the younger audience back into Christianity, God, if that, or
Yes.
just believing in something in general. Because as a new generation, I've come to think, as long as you are happy, I don't care. Um, I I grew up with the typical family where like you have to go to church, you have to pray every
Right.
night, read your Bible, and I'll be honest with you, I've not read the Bible page to page. It's too long of a book, and the print is too small. Okay,
Well, yes, I know what you mean. Oh, please continue. I'm sure
but
you won't finish.
yeah, my goal is to bring. My goodness, my goal is to bring my like social media and my influence, my platform, and bring it back to us, because we're the future. You know, I don't know if you knew this. I posted about it. Here, let me show you. I'm an ordained minister now. I got my license.
Oh, brother.
I'm not a
Uh,
priest.
so
I'm a pastor.
you're a pastor. Let me guess. You can marry. You can
I can marry
perform,
people.
can't you? I had a
I had the whole pamphlet that I had to study.
Oh, Trenton. Okay, all right. I never thought I'd see you bring that out. Okay, well,
Well, okay, at least you know the whole story about that. I got it because my friend wanted me. They didn't really want the old man to like officiate, and they go, "Trent, we want you to be part of the wedding, but we have all the slots full." And I said, "I can officiate," as a joke. I said as a joke, and she's like,
mhm,
"Yes, do it, please." She goes, I'll pay for your certificate thing." And I said, "Well, if I can get it for free, then there we go." And so I
you
did
know,
it.
yeah, I've heard that story before from other people.
Yeah.
It always starts out as, "Oh, this would be kind of cool," or "This would be kind of fun,"
Well, I did the
or
real one.
or funny.
I did the class like the short classes.
Mhm.
I did during quarantine,
Right?
so I had
Yeah.
something to do.
A lot of folks decided to do things a little out of the ordinary during quarantine because what
Yeah.
else is there to do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm an ordained minister. I can marry people now if I want to. Uh,
No. Okay. Okay.
you know what?
Okay.
You hear something funny. Father Chris Culpepper, who's been on the show, had the exact same reaction you had.
I am not going to discourage you or anything. Just keep in mind you are talking to an actual ordained
Yes,
priest about this. So you
I know.
might, you might not get backlash from me, but you will get backlash from some people.
Oh yeah, I
So,
know.
and other priests.
And don't worry, like I don't sit here and say like, "Oh yeah, I went through the hard work." I know what you guys have to go do,
Yeah.
and I heard it's hard.
Yeah, it it is not for the faint of heart. So basically, and I will go more into what you were talking about bringing younger people in.
Yes.
But on that subject of how hard it is, um, Anglican seminary is quite different from Roman Catholic seminary
Mm,
in that you know Roman Catholic seminary you're there for longer. Um, you're there for like I think it's like 6 years or something like that. If you're already an ordained deacon, you're there for 4 years. And roughly, and I'm sure it varies depending on your order or depending on what seminary you're going to. But you're there for longer, but the classes are more spaced out,
yeah.
and plus you also have an entire year in between during your education. You are in you take a year out of seminary to work in a church to make sure that's actually really what you want to do, and then you go back, you finish up. Well, we don't do that. They put us in a church for one summer. So we're there in a church for like 3 months, if even 3 months. Um, and it's not really the best formation because nothing happens during the summertime in churches.
Yeah.
So you're not really getting the you're not getting the full formation working in a church for 3 months. It's definitely something down the road that I'm sure the Anglican Church or I think it's really more up to diocese, but um, well, actually, no, it's up to seminaries. It's really more of a seminary thing. Uh, I'm sure in the future a lot of people have complained about this, and I'm sure it will change in the future. And then who knows, it might not. But my point is that we packed all this stuff, all these classes, all this information, we compact it into 3 years when really it could be stretched out a little more. So whenever we go to seminary, we're there for 3 years, and they pour it on us. I mean, they pour it on us. They dump all kinds of work on us. They throw all kinds of information out on us. We have tests. We have all these classes. We have to go to chapel. Chapel is mandatory. We have to go to chapel twice a day. Uh,
Twice a day, like 7 days a week.
oh yeah, we have to go to. So I went to Nashotah House, which is a very traditional high church Anglo Catholic type seminary. It's the only Anglican seminary left that still does a daily Eucharist. So
Wow.
in the morning we have morning prayer followed by the Eucharist, and then in the evening we have evensong, and it is required. You have to go. But it's good that it's required because it's forming. Yeah, it's basically how we become formed. We learn the Book of Common Prayer. We learn the services. We learn how to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's very helpful. It's very great. It's great formation. If I can name you one thing that was most beneficial for me at seminary, it was daily chapel.
And I'll
That
let you
was
continue there. What's been really, you know, moving for me is I'll tell you a little. I'll give you a little a brief testimony of myself. Uh, I, I grew up as one of the big families at the church we came from. I
mm-hmm,
was one of the big ones. That was well known, and as that, I felt like I had to know everything. Like, you're Mary's grandson, aren't you? And I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, well, do you know the Genesis entire book? And I was like, no. But I
no,
kind of fell off my religion, and I think that everybody kind of does that. They kind of question it. Even like all his disciples questioned him at one point, questioned Jesus at one point,
they did.
and I fell off of it for like a couple years. I didn't consider myself an atheist. It was more of an agnostic feeling, where I was like, I
Mm-hmm,
believe in he's somewhere. I need more proof, and
mm-hmm.
I asked, like, I need guidance, and I wouldn't quite get it in the way that I would see it. And then as I evolved, I would actually see it, like, oh, he's actually was guiding me. And my testimony is that I came face to face with Christ. I came face to face
Yeah,
with him in the so at our old church. I think you know what I'm talking about. You know how the upper deck with
the
a
choir loft.
choir and like the organ. So I was with
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Spradley, my good friend mentor of mine,
Yeah,
and I was
amen.
up there, and he left me up there. He said, "Hey, I have to go check wiring somewhere. Can you stay right here?" And I said, "Yeah." So I stayed right there, and I sat there and I looked down, and I was like, "Man," and I prayed, and Christ came up to me and he goes, "I'm not through with you yet. Follow me, and I will guide you." And I was like, "Okay." And so after that day, the next day, Polly called me and said, "Hey, I need you at Christ the Redeemer." And I was like, "Okay." And I went there and they told me, "Hey, we need your expertise on certain things to help our church grow." And ever since then, I've been working there, and
That's great.
I love it ever
And
since.
well, and you are very blessed that that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I think I believe that the Holy Spirit communicates to everyone. Um, I believe that because it's true. The Holy Spirit does, but you have to be willing enough and open enough to allow yourself to hear it.
Yeah,
And then once you cross that boundary, you break that barrier, it becomes so clear, and then you can hear the Holy Spirit well. You
yeah,
know, um, just for so many people, it's making that jump,
yeah,
and it's a scary jump for some people. It really is, and that's okay. I mean, it's God we're talking about here.
yeah,
Uh, people get people get comfortable with their own lives and living the way they want to live, and there's a part of them that wants to know more and wants to speak to God and have God speak to them, but then there's a part of them pulling them back, saying, no, no, you like the secular life, you enjoy this. Well, why would you want to do that? Because if you did that, that means you would have to change some things about yourself.
yes,
Yeah, you'd have to start living for God instead of yourself. What's the fun in that? You know,
yes,
but living for God is actually very rewarding and very liberating,
yeah.
and I wouldn't have it any other way.
I would, especially during this like quarantine time, it's been hard for some people to go to churches, and
Mm-hmm.
they've been lacking off. As I say, lacking off. But I found it that me doing what I have to do at CTR, which is live streaming, doing all types of media, filming, it's actually grown me closer because I'm actually attending on a regular basis. I won't be. I, I don't know yet. Saturday I get my second COVID shot, and I think I think for the first time in this year, I want to say first time, maybe second time, I won't be
Mhm.
going just because of the side effects. That's it. And I don't want people
Sure.
going all concerned about me.
I
The one thing
understand.
I hate is when people are like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine," but I'm like dying inside.
Well, I had mine, and it wasn't a big deal. But I had Pfizer, and
Yeah,
it I was fine. My wife and I were both
you guys
pretty
both have
fine.
Pfizer.
Yeah, we did.
I'm getting Moderna.
Yeah, that's more common, I think, these days. More people are getting Moderna. I
Yeah,
mean, I think Pfizer came out first,
yeah.
and
Pfizer
Moderna.
came out first. I was more scared of Pfizer, and I wanted Johnson and Johnson. And then
Right.
now the roles have switched. No.
Well, you know, with Johnson and Johnson, I think I've heard different things about that. Some people want it because it's just a one-time shot, but there are some people that have theological issues with it, and so I don't know enough about it, honestly, so I can't tell people one way or another. You should or you shouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, people are going to get what they're going to get, and the main thing is that we all need to get well and get past this because this
Yes.
has been a nightmare.
This has been a
But
year.
it really has, and it's been a nightmare. But we have been very blessed during the process. We have not. No churches have had to close their doors in our diocese. Um, we've had a strong committal congregation has stayed true to us, and we're actually kind of starting to get out of COVID now.
Yeah.
We're moving toward post COVID times, and we're able to move forward with our ministries stronger than ever. And one thing that COVID did for us is it made technology better.
Yes.
It forced us to figure out streaming so we can stream so outsiders can see us and they can, and it's kind of a way of outreach, in a way.
Because like
I've spoken.
I had the idea at our old church. I said, "Hey, we should do live streaming." Because this was before COVID. I said, "Look
Mhm.
on every like church, like anything on TV on Sundays. It's church related, and they grow in popularity. They grow in congregation. And at this time, our congregation at that church was going down because of past things. And I was like, I have an idea. Let's try this. Well, we could get younger people, maybe even people who just moved to Texas. Oh, we need a church to go to. I need an Anglican
Yeah,
church to go to. Let's research
yeah,
this one because people 8 times out of 10, I believe, look up YouTube. They YouTube their church,
right, right.
and we tried it, and that I I don't badmouth that church ever. That was my home for the longest time.
Oh yeah, I love it. I
I
love
love
it.
that place.
I will
Everybody was
always.
so nice. The youth group was amazing.
Yeah.
That they didn't want to change, and the people who have talked to there, they agreed that they didn't want to change. They want to stay the same, and I tried my best, but I was like, okay, you guys do what you guys want to do,
Uh-huh.
and so I
Well,
left and went somewhere else that wanted to listen to my ideas. And right now, all my ideas that I'm asking to do are being fulfilled. We're live streaming. We're doing videos.
mhm.
We're on Spotify now. We're on Apple Podcast. You can listen to CTR everywhere now.
And now the church you left now has a whole professional system installed,
Yes.
and it's something else actually.
Yes.
It you've heard the story, the saying, "Oh, Anglicans don't like change."
Yes.
You've heard that story for years. There's a famous joke about that, and I know you've probably heard a rendition of it, but there's two things that Anglicans are really adamant about: change, and they always want to make sure that they have alcohol at every one of their gatherings.
Yep.
They have a reputation of called whiskey palians.
Yes.
Well, anyway, the joke is how many Episcopalians does it take to change a light bulb? And whenever I was asked this the first time, I said I'm not sure, and he told me your response was supposed to be, Change? What do you mean change?
Right.
But anyway,
They
that was supposed to
and when
be,
they like and like
yeah,
when I said like, hey, let's change some things. Like
yeah.
let's add a few things here and there, and they're like, change.
Well, yeah, change. What do you mean change? And so anyway, I laughed, and he said, "But seriously, how many Episcopalians does it take to change a light bulb?" And I said, "I don't know." And he goes, "One to change it." He said, well, four total.
Four total.
One to change it, two to complain they like the old light bulb better,
Yep.
and one to make tricks.
Yes.
um, and I thought that was brilliant. But the other yesterday, I was at a meeting, and it was brought up that it's not so much change people don't like in our faith. It's loss that people really don't like. If you bringing new things in is not such a bad thing. It's getting rid of things that's the bad thing,
And like I think
or replacing things with something else.
and I
You
think
know.
that's why when at that certain church when Hightower left, you
Mm-hmm.
know, they
Yes.
didn't want that. No one I didn't want that. Hightower was
Well,
a big
nobody wanted
influence in my
that.
life.
Yeah. I had known
And
it since I was 3 years old. I didn't want that at all.
he baptized me on the wrong date.
Yeah, Father Hightower. Well, Father Hightower. I've said this time and time again. He's one in a million.
Yes.
He's a very unique individual, and there are very few priests out there like him. And for him, a priest like that to leave, he's really making unintentionally. He made the road for the next priest very rough,
It really did.
because major shoes that the next guy has to fill.
Yes.
And I honestly, I didn't know who the guy was going to be, but I started praying for him right then and there.
I did too. I mean, honestly, I didn't blame the new priest coming in. I didn't blame anybody. I just think that we were still emotionally connected to Hightower for such a long time. He's been in that church
Uh-huh.
forever.
Yeah, yeah,
And for him to go, it was like, okay, it's like a TV show when your favorite character leaves and he's not there anymore, or her or she's not there anymore, and you're like, it's a whole different show now. It's not funny anymore, or it's not dramatic. It's not a love story anymore. It's just whatever the writers can come up with now.
right, yeah. Well, the attitude that I tried to keep was, yes, I am connected to Father Hightower, but I am more connected to the church.
Yes.
And I love this church. I want to see it do well. I want to see it continue to grow. I want to see more disciples continue to be made. I want to continue the Great Commission. So I stuck by the church. I stuck by it regardless of the changes that were being made, regardless of who was coming in and going out. I stuck by it, and I feel that that's really the right thing to do.
Mhm.
If the devil is attacking your church, and believe me, the devil was attacking that church, it's our job as Christians to fight him,
Yes.
and to not allow him to take over. Don't allow him to win.
Yes.
And that's the only thing I want to stress. Don't allow the enemy to win. Stand true to your church. You love the church, honestly. Don't let it sink.
Yep.
Fight for it.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question that I ask every priest. We're going to be moving on to a new topic
Yes.
now. You like that transition I did?
Yes, let's do it.
So I asked every priest this, and each of them give me a different answer, which I find very interesting.
Okay.
Is ghost. Now I know you. You're very interested in this in ghost. From your comment left about my documentary. By the way, the Jefferson series was nominated for best documentary at a film festival. They emailed me about it actually, and I felt
Oh, okay.
very.
Very nice.
I was like,
Very nice.
whoa, okay.
Yes.
So you're interested in the ghostly presence of things. Are you? Let's see. Let's
It
expose
is a
them.
fascination. Yes.
Yeah.
So whenever I was a layperson, I was more into it then than I am now.
Mm.
The reason I'm not so much now is because as a priest, I try to distance myself from that type of phenomena.
Yeah.
mainly because it would be irresponsible of me as a priest, as an ordained spiritual leader, to do so, because I'm supposed to be leading by example.
Yes.
If I'm going out and chasing spooks, people are going to see me do it, and they're gonna follow suit.
Yep.
Uh, well, my priest does it, or this
My
priest, he's
priest
a man
does
of
it.
God, he does it, and it's really not good to obsess over it because it's dangerous,
Yes.
right? Because 9 times out of 10, I have discovered, I didn't know this going in, but 9 times out of 10, you are chasing after something dark
Yep.
that you don't want in your life. You don't want to be chasing after it. And so it's very dangerous to be too involved and obsessed or even fascinated with the supernatural. Yes, it's fun. It's fun around the campfire to tell these stories. Yes, and I'm all about that.
Yeah.
But actually, ghost hunting and things like that, I urge all Christians stay away from it.
Because
It's
I've been ghost hunting. I made a whole documentary about it, and the main reason why I did it is because I've been watching all these like shows, and I'm like sitting here. I'm like, okay, these are so clearly fake. I bet if I go up there, I won't experience anything. And I went out there as a skeptic believer. Is that I wanted to believe. That's what I went out to do. And
Mhm.
we went out. I took my dad with me. I took my mom, and everything in that video was real. That's what my thing was. It's like I don't want people thinking this is fake. In fact, the last part of the whole documentary was raw footage. Nothing was edited. I dropped it in and said, "There you go." And we experienced a lot. I was hit in the back of the head. Uh, we had knocks on the wall. Water
Mhm.
was being turned on and off. It was freaky but interesting, and I was like, okay. So that led me to believe. That led me to ask the question. Actually, was I asked Culpepper this too because he's also really big in the spiritual realm of
Mhm.
Christianity. Is are ghosts, angels, or people in purgatory just waiting to go up, or already up, and just like, hey, we're gonna tell you that we're here, kind of thing. Because
Mhm.
like demons can roam the earth, that we
They are
know,
on the earth.
and angels can come down here, guardian angels.
Mhm.
So would ghosts be people of angels or people in purgatory waiting to go up there? Is
Mhm.
like what's
Well,
that whole thing?
that's a good question. Thank you. That's a very good question. Ghosts now, and it's a complicated question.
It is.
So, angels, I don't believe now. Angels are here to, and especially our guardian angels, they are here to protect us from the enemy and from other types of harm as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't believe that angels all willy nilly are just going to reveal themselves for the heck of it.
Yeah.
They would, if they actually reveal themselves, there's a good legitimate reason they're doing so. Something's about to happen, or you're in trouble. You need to get out of this trouble, and sometimes there'll be some divine intervention
Mm-hmm.
that happens. And some people have seen angels. Some people have been touched by angels, but it's in a dire situation like that, you're usually going to see an angel.
Yeah.
So, with that aside, um, ghosts, there is really not a whole lot of evidence in scripture to support the existence of ghosts. Uh, Very little evidence to no
Really?
evidence.
I thought there'd be
Depending on
more.
depending on how you want to read into certain passages, but very little to no evidence. The concept of ghosts is really just kind of a concept.
Yeah.
Some people believe that purgatory is here on earth. Some people believe that people who are stuck in purgatory because they're not yet ready for heaven, that they remain here on earth, stuck in between. Father Vance Page, the late Father Vance
Yes.
Page, he believed that. He did believe that that ghosts exist. In fact, he said that one time he went to a parishioner's house and he had to help the ghost move on because there was both a ghost and a demon in that house.
Wow.
And he first had to get rid of the demon. He had to exorcise the demon out, and then he helped the ghost move on. He did say that does happen sometimes. Why does the Bible not talk about it? That is the mystery. No one knows, because, like I said, ghosts are more of a concept. No one really knows. The Bible contains everything we need to know for salvation. However, when it comes to the supernatural, ghosts, UFOs, extraterrestrials, things like that, the Bible only tells us what we need to know, but it doesn't tell us everything that's out there. The reason why is because if it doesn't mention it in the Bible, that means it's none of our business. That means it's not important. We don't need to know. That is not a part of God's plan for us. It doesn't concern us. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I'm not saying I believe in extraterrestrials. When it comes to that, I'm kind of agnostic on that subject.
You need more proof, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But with as far as ghosts go, I was watching a television show. It was like a show where it was a real live interview. They were interviewing a rabbi, a Jewish rabbi, and an Eastern Orthodox priest, and a Catholic priest.
Wow.
They were interviewing these three guys, and they asked, "Do ghosts exist?" And all three of them, without talking with each other first, all three of them answered yes. And that kind of surprised me a little bit, because traditional Catholicism teaches no, they don't. And many traditional priests will tell you no. But there are a select few, and I'm one of them, that will say no. Don't be so quick to say no. I do believe there is some kind of an in-between. Like I said, Scripture doesn't explain it. I don't know why. I don't know anything about it, and that's why I don't teach it. I don't teach it because it would be irresponsible of me to do so, because it's not backed by Scripture. So therefore, I don't teach it. You know what I'm saying? But personally, yes, I do believe they do, and that's all I can say. I can't really give you a lot of reason behind that. But while chasing after, on that subject, it's not good to chase after ghosts, because 9 times out of 10, it's not a ghost that you're gonna be chasing after. Are demons on the earth? Yes. In fact, when Satan and all of his followers, all of the angels that chose to follow him, which was about a third of the angels in heaven, which is a lot.
Wow.
Whenever they were cast out of heaven, where did they go? They came here to earth. They were cast to the earth, and that is where they have been ever since. They're not in hell. Satan and all of his followers are not going to be cast into hell until the end times, until the last days. That's when they'll be cast into hell. For the time being, they're here on earth, and
So when
they
you say hell, they're not in hell because hell, well, doesn't exist. Are you saying that hell doesn't exist right now?
No, I'm saying there is a hell,
Okay.
but hell is not being used
Okay.
currently.
So
It's not.
when people die, for example, like a really bad person goes to hell, where are they at? Are they stuck here on Earth?
No, they're not stuck here on Earth. When a really,
But that's a
if an
punishment of its own.
unrighteous, we'll say a non-Christian, an unrighteous person,
Okay.
someone who has not followed Christ, or has not been true to Christ, said they followed Christ but weren't really, an unrighteous person, someone not worthy of heaven. Okay. The Orthodox believe that, and it is an ancient Orthodox belief, that hell, as in not the actual place, but the eternal hell that you will feel, is the kingdom of heaven crushing you. In other words, all of God's love, you will either be blessed for eternity by God's love, or you will be burned by God's love for eternity, depending on what side you decided to follow. What it means exactly to be crushed by the kingdom instead of brought into the kingdom, that's a good question. I think, personally, I think what that means is, if you remember the parable of the wedding banquet, um, the people who were late, they showed up and they're knocking on the door, and they open up and say, "I'm sorry, I don't know you." And or better yet, somebody's in the banquet and they're not wearing the proper robe, and the person in charge sees them and says, "Hey, what are you doing here? You're not wearing a robe. You weren't invited." And they were cast out of the wedding banquet, into the darkness where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth. So, what I believe that is that if you are not worthy of heaven, you are cast into the outer darkness. Uh, what exactly that means, I don't know, but it's I don't believe that that there is literally a fire, and you will literally be burning in this actual fire for all eternity. I don't. I really don't think a loving God would do that. Would allow that to happen. What I do believe is that God really does say, "You chose not to know me. I don't know you. I love you. I still love you, but I can't allow you in because you didn't follow the Lord." And so, because the only way to the Father is through the Son, and you have to follow the Son. And so, you're basically just kind of thrown out, into the void. I think that it's a void is what it is, almost like being thrown away. And it's definitely I would say it's definitely tormenting, because what worse could happen to you than being in a dark void? I mean, I think that that's pretty bad. But the traditional belief among the Orthodox is that hell, the actual place hell, the lake of burning sulfur, is meant for the devil and his followers, the demons, is meant strictly for them. Now, I don't believe that. I believe, in Revelation it says that that Satan will be cast into hell, in the end. Satan, all of his demons, and then it says the beast, which in literal terms, the beast is Nero, the Roman Empire, Nero in particular. The beast is in hell, and the Antichrist, which is basically the Antichrist, is all of the unfaithful who chose to go against God. So,
I
at
was,
in
I was
the
going to
end,
ask you about Revelations next because I know that you're teaching a class about it right
sure,
now.
yeah. Well, in the end, we're all, I would say, either you are cast into the outer void and that's where you are for eternity, or you're in the outer void, and then, in the end, whenever it's finally time for hell to open up and Satan is cast in, everybody else is cast in with him that was in the void, and hell is closed for eternity, and that's where you'll remain with all the other unrighteous, including Satan himself. Now, whether that's true or whether you just remain in the void, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of it's a sticky subject. No one really knows, but the point is that if you are unrighteous, you will not enter the kingdom, and yes, you will be in hell. Take that for what it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever your idea of that is. But the point is, you don't want to go to hell. You don't want to be in
Yeah,
hell.
you don't want to go there.
You don't want to be crushed by the kingdom. You want to be
In
in
the
the kingdom.
kingdom.
Yeah,
You want to be
that's right.
you want to be on top of the thing that's crushing them down there.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. That's
So
where you want. To.
I want to talk about Revelations real quick.
Yes.
I have a theory about Revelations. By the way, I have two theories I want to talk to you about,
Mhm.
and of course, I found them from the internet.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. So the first one's about Revelations, and this one I've been actually thinking about for a while now. And in the book of Revelations, it talks about the future. You know, it says that we're gonna be engulfed by a beast of some sort.
Does it?
I mean, I haven't read the full book yet. But
Does
I
it, Trenton?
I believe that it does talk about the future, in that none of the stuff that happened kind of near the end of Revelations has happened yet.
some of some of Revelations, some of Revelation is prophecy. Yes, some of
Yes.
it is,
Okay.
but a very good bulk of it is not. A very good bulk of it is historic.
Okay.
Um,
Because I believe
so
that we are living in Revelations as we speak. You
we
know
are.
that soon, the second coming will come,
Hmm.
and we're going to be, because that obviously has not happened yet,
Right.
and if it did, then we're from the people who didn't make it in. But it's just
Yes.
like I've always wondered, like, we're living in Revelation, so like when people say like, "Oh, the end of the world's coming," in the
Hmm.
Revelations it states we won't know when it's happening.
Right.
So
Right. So here is the scoop.
okay,
Yeah.
give me the scoop.
So, well, what was your original question? You
Is
mentioned the
that
beast. You want to know more about the beast, or
I want to know
or
more about where we're heading into with Revelation. Is that
okay,
what's to come with Revelations, like
okay, all right.
the future of it?
So a lot of people, um, and by a lot of people, I mean New Age Christians. Um, New Age Christians believe in a rapture. They believe in there's going to be a rapture of the faithful, and then the people remain will have to face this horrible tribulation, and and then an antichrist will rise up and persecute Christians and blah 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 blah. That is strictly New Age false theology.
Okay.
That is not Catholic doctrine. That is not correct theology.
Okay.
What That was actually invented. The idea of a rapture was first thought up by an Irvingite. The Irvingites were a Scottish sect of Christians, who they were the Irvingites were actually the ancestors of what would become the Pentecostal church. The Pentecostal church, of course, started in America, but their ancestors were from Scotland. They were called the Irvingites, named after Edward Irving, their founder. But basically, the idea of the rapture came from that, but there was no evidence to support it, and it was deemed it was basically deemed of the devil. is is uh, is how the church still looks at it to this day. Um, and of course, a lot of New Age Christians, they kind of tend to read too literally some of Revelation. They look at the 1,000-year reign as Jesus coming back at the end times and reigning for 1,000 years. None of that, and it just leads to more questions. People are like, really, that happens? Okay, so what happens after the 1,000 years? What's this, what's that? um, and it says after the 1,000-year reign, Satan will be unleashed for a little while. So at the beginning of the 1,000 years, Satan is chained and bound up, and then Christ reigns for 1,000 years, and then he's unleashed for a little while. So I'm going to give you the proper Orthodox Catholic translation to
Okay.
this. The 1,000 years is now. It is not a literal 1,000 years. In St. John's language, whenever he's writing Revelation, he's using figurative language. By 1,000 years, he's talking about a really long time. A long age is what he means. So by 1,000 years, he's talking about the church age, the age of church, which begins with Jesus's ascension into heaven. That was the beginning of the church age, and the end, of course, is his second coming. That's the end. So we are living in the church age now. It says Jesus will reign for 1,000 years. Well, he is reigning. Um, the kingdom is here on earth. He brought the kingdom with him whenever he came. So he is reigning now. So what it means when it says that Satan was bound up at the beginning of the church age, what it meant by that was some of his power was taken away, because he needed to be kind of put at bay.
Mm.
He needed some of his power to be taken away in order so the church could grow and the gospel could be spread. Because Satan would have interfered with that. He would have seen to it that wouldn't happen. So what happened was Jesus took some of Satan's power away. That's what it means by he was chained up and bound for 1,000 years, allowing the church to grow and the apostles to do their work. And it was successful. The church did grow. It spread all over the world. And so that's what that means. Now, shortly before Jesus comes back, Satan will be loosed for a while. And that is the great tribulation. There will be no rapture, unfortunately. The faithful are going to have to endure this. Everybody's going to have to endure this. Satan will be loosed. Now, what happens when Satan is loosed? It says he will go to Gog and Magog. In Revelation terms, what that means is he will go, most likely what they're talking about is he will go to the countries that are against God and the world leaders who hate God, who are against the church. And what he will do is he will form an army. He will get an army together to fight against the heavenly city. In literal terms, the heavenly city is Jerusalem. In metaphorical terms, the heavenly city is the church. So that is the great tribulation. There will be much suffering, but it won't last forever, because then it says God will crush them. He will crush Satan and his army, and then he will. That's when he will cast Satan into hell. Satan and all the demons, along with the beast and the Antichrist, and they will all be thrown into hell for eternity. And then that's when the judgment, the final judgment, will take place. And then heaven and earth will collide, and it will become the new heaven and the new earth, and we all live happily ever after. Jesus reigns, and we all live with him. That's basically what happens. Yeah. So
see, like, I never got told that version. I guess I have to read the book. No, but
yeah,
that's interesting. Is that there is no rapture. I've always thought there was gonna be a rapture. Yeah, I thought that my soul was gonna leave this and just go up. You
But
know,
if you want to say that rapture, you can look at Jesus' second coming as a rapture.
yeah,
I mean, if you want to look at it that way, but an actual rapture where we're all sitting here and all of a sudden we disappear and we're up in the clouds, that's not true.
yeah.
That's made up.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's interesting. Wow, like I just learned something new today. No,
There you go. I'm here.
so like, man, so what is the beast? I want to know that because like, if you're thinking about us now, there's
Hmm.
like no monsters out. Monsters don't exist. So like when
Right.
they say a beast, are they thinking like of like what's the beast? There we go.
Okay, so this is when the historic part of Revelation comes in.
Okay.
Saint John is referring to Nero Caesar, as the beast. All these horrible things that it says in Revelation that's happening to faithful followers of Christ, the beast is doing all these terrible things. He's actually referring to things going on then and there in that day and age in first century Christendom. So Nero, the emperor, the current emperor of Rome, he was an evil man. He was doing all kinds of terrible things. I mean, and by evil, I mean he was a bad guy. He persecuted Christians. He used to light them on fire. And he would put them up on torches and light them on fire so they could light the garden at night. He would put them all in for amusement. He would put prisoners. He would cover prisoners in animal skin, tie them to a stake, and then have wild animals attack their private parts. Uh, just for amusement. I mean, he would do that. He he married a couple of young boys and paraded them around like his wives, and he castrated one of them. He also killed relatives and aunts and uncles, siblings. He was probably one of the most evil people to ever exist. I mean, some people believe he was crazy. Some people believe he was possessed. But whatever the case may be, the devil was definitely using him. But he was a tyrant, and so what what Saint John was doing was he was using kind of a code called gematria whenever he mentioned the beast and 666. So gematria, if you take the old Hebrew letters for Nero, it comes in, it basically equals the letters 666. You can Google this, you can look up gematria, and it shows you how to formulate your name even into a code of numbers. But he came out as 666. The reason why he chose to write Nero's name like this instead of just saying Nero is because he was protecting himself, and he was mainly protecting the 7 churches in Asia Minor that he was sending these letters to. Because if those letters were to fall into the wrong hands, these churches would have gotten into big trouble. You're writing horrible things about our great emperor, and they would have been persecuted. So in order to keep people from knowing who he was talking about, he used gematria. 666 equals Nero. He's talking about the Emperor Nero. So that's what he means by that. As far as mark of the beast, a mark is basically a seal. It's a sign, a frontlet. In the Bible, a mark is placed upon the forehead or hand, either as a sign of a curse or a sign of redemption. Okay, so and there's a million places. There's in Genesis, Exodus, the Wisdom of Solomon, Isaiah, Ezekiel, and several places in Revelation. All these different places talk about marks, and a mark is basically who you follow. I am marked. My right hand is marked, meaning who you follow. If my right hand, at my right hand, I follow Jesus. Or I follow the government. So basically, a mark means who you serve. Okay. Either you serve God or you serve your government, which is against God. So if you have the mark of the beast, that basically means you are living to serve the Roman Empire. You're not serving God. Now that's the metaphorical term for mark. It's not a literal mark. It means that you're not righteous. You don't follow Jesus. You follow your government, or you worship the emperor, who back in those days was kind of looked at as a god or a demigod. But there was an actual time in history. Now Revelation says that you wear the mark, you'll be able to purchase things. You'll be able to live well and do all these things. And if you don't wear the mark, you'll starve and you'll be persecuted. Well, that was an actual historic time. That has actually already happened. There was a time in history, and there are other places where this is written, not just Revelation, where people of the Roman Empire had to wear Nero's symbol on their clothes in order to make purchases and live well. They were showing loyalty to Nero. And of course, Christians, and there were some other people who chose not to do that because it was forbidden. I'm a follower of Christ. I don't worship Nero, and that's actually what that is talking about in partial. And like I said a minute ago, a mark is also means who you follow, who you are dedicated to. So God wants his seal, his mark. He wants his character. You can look at a mark as character. God wants his character in us. but the devil also wants his character in us as well.
Mm.
And so God is going to the devil is going to make sure we have his mark, not God's mark. So it's also metaphorical when it says mark of the beast, or who do you serve? Do you serve Satan or do you serve the Lord? Um, in modern terms, you can look at the mark as living for your own government. Like the government one day, the government says, I want to take prayer out of schools. I want state and church to be completely separated. And unfortunately, um, separation of church and state, here's where I get controversial.
Yeah.
Not scripture. That's not scriptural. Because God, and I've said this time and time again, God never meant for him to not be in government. He never meant for that. He wants everyone to follow him. He wants everyone to follow his law, and for civil laws to match up with his laws, to be subordinate to his laws. And in our very secular society today, that's not the case. And there are many people who choose to follow that instead of follow God. And you can look at that as, oh, well, they're wearing the mark of the beast. They're following the world and not God. And who is the prince of the world? Satan. He's the prince of the world.
Oh, wow.
That's some deep stuff right there. Yeah.
Wow. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Because
See?
it's I find it interesting to ask these type of questions, is because
Mhm.
people just tend to think the Bible is just giant book of rules, but no, there's a lot of things in there that are interesting. Like
Oh,
this
yeah.
next thing I want to ask you is, so this is a conspiracy theory that I saw online. I was watching another podcast and they asked the priest
Sure.
this, and I personally don't believe this. I just want to see your reaction. That's all I want.
Okay.
That's all I want to see. So, have you heard of the
Well,
Noah's Ark theory? So it's called the
what's
Noah's
that,
Ark
man?
theory. The Noah's Ark theory.
Oh, Noah's Ark. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So,
Um,
so before Noah's Ark, we had Adam and Eve and all that,
yep.
and what you see in Adam and Eve's story, the Garden of Eden, and then turning into just a wasteland because God was
Mhm.
mad that they disobeyed. So what that actually is that they were on the planet Venus. Hang on, hang on, hang on. So they're on the planet Venus, and if you know anything about Venus, it is very toxic to be there. It's overheated. You'll burn up. It's acid. It rains acid. And what they think it was when they did that. This was a time during the time where people were actually existent. There were people living, and they were smart.
Mhm.
And God gave Noah, "Hey, I need you to build a ship to save the people who actually believe in me. Put them on the ship and bring them somewhere else." What they think it was a giant spaceship. Get ready. A giant spaceship to lead them to Earth to start
Mhm.
over because Venus got destroyed by global warming. That's the theory.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Um, this sounds like a theory that was made up by global warming advocates.
Yes, because what
Um,
if it got greenhouse effects happen on Venus, and that's what they think it was like. Okay, when God destroyed the garden, it was actually the greenhouse effects destroying it, and they're like, we got to get out of here. So they went to Earth.
well, they obviously didn't read Genesis 1 that says in the beginning, God created the earth.
Yes.
The earth was formless and void. He didn't say another world. He didn't say Venus or whatever. Or in early language, it wouldn't have said Venus anyway. It would have said something else.
Yeah.
But it said Earth. Earth has always been called Earth, even before the other planets were named. So
I'd try to
um,
see your reaction on that one because I don't believe that one.
there's that. And this theory sounds like a mixture of Scientology and Mormonism, kind of combined
Yep.
into a science fiction film.
Yes.
Uh, but no, I'm afraid that is incorrect.
I just want
That
to
is
see your reaction on that one. I don't believe that one. I saw that one. I
that
was like, I
is
have to ask Eddie this.
that is hilarious. Actually,
Yeah.
I can see maybe a Monty Python type comedy being made with Noah and his big rocket ship with animals and his family.
Yeah.
Uh, that's funny.
It
Thank you for
is.
saying
Of course.
that.
There's tons of interesting like Bible theories out there that when you get on YouTube and you just stumble down a rabbit hole,
Yeah,
you just stumble down a rabbit
yeah.
hole. Like I saw a conspiracy that Jesus was an alien.
Yeah, I've heard all kinds of I have examined, not ventured. Ventured's the wrong word. I have examined many rabbit holes.
Yes.
I have seen all kinds of interesting species of
The one I
rabbits and hares that are just out there. I
yeah.
mean, just flat out humorous.
Yes.
Uh,
The one I'm starting to actually believe though is that Jesus was married.
oh, you're starting to believe that, huh?
I am. Because here's the thing is does it say that he was married in the Bible? It
Nope,
does. It don't doesn't.
nope.
I think he was married because, I think personally he was married to Mary Magdalene because
Yeah,
she wasn't a disciple, right?
nope. Well, I mean, she was a disciple, but she wasn't an apostle.
Yes, that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think they were married. That's what my theory is.
Well, that is a Da Vinci Code type theory that was pretty much partially made up by Dan Brown, and also I can't remember the full story, but Dan Brown was inspired. His writing for the Da Vinci Code was kind of inspired by this theory that popped up years prior about Jesus having been married and having descendants, and somebody actually saying he was descended from our Lord. But but there's absolutely no evidence to support it. Scripture doesn't mention it. There's no evidence out there to support it. The picture that the famous picture of the Last Supper, where Jesus is sitting next to this feminine looking figure, uh, who in the Da Vinci Code, they said, oh, that's Mary Magdalene. He's sitting right next to his wife at the Last Supper. First of all, two points I want to make. That picture is not a photograph, it's just a painting.
Yeah.
That is not the literal picture of the Last Supper. That
Yeah.
is just a painting. That is Da Vinci's interpretation of the Last Supper. The apostles don't even look like who they really looked like in that painting. In Da Vinci's painting, they look like a bunch of 17th century Italians,
Yeah.
and in reality, Jesus and his apostles did not look like 17th century Italians. They looked like Middle Eastern people
Yeah.
because that's what they were. They were Middle Eastern. So, uh, but the feminine figure that was sitting next to Jesus, if Da Vinci were sitting here today, he would tell you, oh, well, that's actually John. That's not Mary Magdalene. That's not a woman. That's a man. You see, John was the youngest out of all of the apostles, you know. He was very young. And in Da Vinci's time, artists used to paint young people in a feminine fashion. No beard, no, he used to paint very young boys to look kind of like women. He gave them feminine features to show their youth.
Yes.
And so that's why St. John looks like a woman in that picture,
Yeah, I'm
because
looking at it right now. Yeah, it does look like
that
a
was the
woman.
style. Yeah, that was the style back then that artists used to do. And so that's why that's the whole reason for that. No, it's not Mary Magdalene. That's actually St. John,
Interesting.
or his depiction of St. John.
Interesting.
Um, but yeah, but no, there is no evidence at all to support that Jesus was married to anyone, that he had a wife. In fact, I believe that he was a virgin his entire life, never had children, never was married. He was chaste, uh, and because he was God, and being fruitful and multiplying, having a spouse, having children, that's more of a human thing. Now, yes, Jesus was human. He was fully man, but he was also fully God. And so he was here. His mission was to plant a seed here on earth, to grow followers, and to start something that would eventually become the church, and to fulfill the law. That was Jesus' mission here on earth. His mission was not to have children and have a family. Uh, he had more of a godly mission than that. He was chaste, but he did not, this is not to say that he would discourage anyone from doing the same thing. Um, Being chaste is really a calling, like being in the monastic life, being a monk or a nun. That's a calling. Not everyone is called to be celibate, but there are certain people who actually are called to be celibate. But most people are not called to be celibate. Most people are called to be married, be fruitful, and multiply. Yeah, but that was not Jesus.
Well, Eddie, we reached the part of the show where we talk about today's sponsor, Poddex. Let me tell you about Poddex. They
All
have
right.
been a huge support of the show. Their goal is to help small podcasters just come up with ideas and promote their podcast to bigger people. They reached out to me asking me to promote them more. And at the end of every show, I tend to ask a few questions from their interview deck, which is available at poddex.com. Use the promo code TCLIVE to get 10% off your first purchase. All right. Are you ready for some questions?
Shoot, fire away.
All right. Let me just mix these up a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. This is so these questions get deep. These questions also are fun.
Okay.
I've had some very different questions. This first question is very deep.
Man, I'm
This
excited.
is weird to ask. Ready? When you die, what do you want to be remembered for?
What do I want to be remembered for?
Yes.
You know, I want to be remembered as being a loving husband, father, and being a faithful disciple. I want to be remembered that I showed Christ in everything that I did, and that was one of my biggest missions. And I only pray that that's what people remember me for. I pray that I live up to that.
Yeah, that's
And
a
my
That's a
family.
good answer. I have to make it even for my guests. I answer the questions with them. If
Mhm.
I were to die, I want to be remembered as Trenton Chapel Live, entertainer worldwide. I
Well,
don't
you know
know.
what? On that subject,
Uh oh.
I have. So I think your parents might have a copy of this, but I also want to be remembered for this.
Oh.
Um, this was the band it was a Christian alternative rock band that I
Yes.
used to be. I used to be the lead singer and rhythm guitarist for Against the Current, also known as 4ATC for short. This was our album right here, and these this was us. We were actually we weren't bad. We were a tight band. But anyway, I hope that somewhere down the line, someone remembers a few lyrics of our songs,
Oh my gosh.
and yeah, and says, "Oh, that was Father Fitzhugh back in the day.
No, he used to rock out.
They used to rock out." And one day I am a singer songwriter, like I said, and
Hmm.
I have also done country music before,
Wow.
and I would like for some artists to actually pick up my original songs and sing them. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe one day that'll happen. That'd be kind of cool, but I'm not counting on it. But that would be cool. Yeah.
All right, so this next question I'm going to alter a little bit. So the question is, if you had to teach a class on anything, what would it be? I'm going to alter it. What class would you teach, excluding theology and anything Christianity like, anything religious based off, anything religious, excluding those, what would you teach?
Can't be religious.
Can't be religious.
Okay. Well, music.
Music?
I would teach music.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. I taught a kind of a music history class to a group of elementary school kids in an after school program. Before I left for seminary, I worked for the YMCA, and I taught kind of a music class to them. And and I included all kinds of stuff. I mean, I included the classical music to rap. I mean, to everything. I talked about the history of all these different genres, where they originated, and the kids were fascinated. They were asking questions. They were, oh yeah, it really made an impact on them. So,
Wow.
and I enjoy doing that.
Wow. I
Yeah.
think if I had to teach any type of class, man, what sucks is like, I in this day and age right now, school kind of sucks right now because it's all
Mhm.
online. If I had to teach any subject, I would probably pick history.
Okay.
I've always, I don't know if you knew this about my family, we're big history freaks. And we go to antique stores just to see the history of it. I like going to museums time to time.
Sure.
Uh, and I've always found history very interesting because it's
Yeah.
the past. You're learning more about the past.
Oh, absolutely. I History is a subject that not only am I passionate about, I would teach. I would teach history. That would be my second choice. Music first, history second. I was a religion major, and with that comes lots and lots of history. And so, and I have taught some church history classes here at St. Vincent's, which is a lot of fun too. So I know exactly where you're coming from on that.
Yeah. All right. Next question. What do you consider your greatest achievement?
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
you
No answer
know,
wrong.
honestly, I am leaning, my greatest achievement, I'm leaning toward saying graduating, everything that I've done, my education, graduating college as a married man with a child,
Yeah.
uh, uh, doing that, not only graduating, but graduating with honors. And I would like to point out that my wife graduated college too as a married woman. So
Wow.
we were both married and had a child while we were in school, and it was not easy. It was a lot of work and a lot of time, but we did it. National honor societies, graduated with honors. I mean, went all out, and I was able to do that, accomplish that, and go to seminary for 3 more years and do all that with a family. That's a major accomplishment. I would say I want to lean toward that being my greatest accomplishment, but if that wasn't the first thing that popped into my mind. The first thing that popped into my mind when you asked me that was producing two absolutely beautiful children with my wife,
Yeah.
Tiffany. We have a beautiful daughter, a very handsome son. They're both wonderful. We love them so much. They are smart. Couldn't have asked for anything better. So I would say that is our greatest accomplishment.
There you go. That's a good
Yeah,
answer. Man,
yeah.
I had to one up that one now.
yeah.
Ugh. No, I think my greatest accomplishment. I don't see. I feel like so far I'm 20 years old, about to turn 21. I feel like I haven't had my greatest accomplishment yet.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think I have yet because
That's normal.
I'm so young. I guess the greatest accomplishment I've ever had was starting a company from nothing and just building that up and
Right.
just you know producing what I because like I've always went off the my biggest influence was Elon Musk And the story of Elon Musk is he moved from South Africa to America, went to school, went to
Mhm.
Silicon Valley, tried to get a job, and they didn't hire him. And he's like, well, if I can't get that job, I'll just make the job myself.
Sure.
And, for so long, I've been trying to get into the media. I mean, I'm working in radio now, thank God.
Yeah.
But, for so long, I've been trying to be in the production world. I want to be behind a camera. I want to direct. And I was like, I tried to intern
Cool.
somewhere, and they wouldn't let me in. And I was like, okay, if they won't let me do it, then how come I'll just start my own? I'm producing all types of content now, and more to
Yeah.
come. Like I'm not even like we're working on getting an animation series on that I'm just producing. I have no part in it. You know
Yes. Trenton, you know what? Sometimes in life, if you want something done, you got to do it yourself.
exactly.
You did it.
Because
Yeah.
I wish people would just do that more. It's like stop waiting for that thing to come to you, and you go get it yourself.
Well, you know what? And thank God for the internet. Thank God for
Hmm.
YouTube, for all these outlets that regular people like ourselves we can now show our creativity online and do these things
Yeah,
without the middleman. You know, it's great.
it is. It's
And
a
that's a
blessing.
great. I'm glad you told me that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right. If you can guarantee, wait, yeah, if you can guaranteed one thing in life besides money, what would it be? That is the question.
If I were guaranteed one thing in life besides money, what would it be? Um, my choice. Yeah. Um, well, I would say, well, I honestly, I would say family.
Yeah,
You know, I would say a loving family that I can be with. That they're by my side. I'm by their side. We're there for each other. I think family is everything, and I am all about. I'm all about that.
yeah.
So if I didn't have my family, God, I don't know. I couldn't imagine.
Wow. I mean, this one's hard for me too. I would have said money if they didn't, because I'm going off the card and it says besides money. I guess I would say knowledge. I
That's
if I can, I know it's bad to know everything, but man, that'd be so awesome to just know everything. Just like, yeah, I know when it's gonna happen. Yeah.
If you remember, King Solomon prayed for wisdom.
Yeah.
He wanted to be wise like his father was wise, and it was granted to him. So it's not wrong to want to be wise.
Yeah.
Uh, I think that's a good virtue. I
Because, like,
do.
money sounds good, but if I can be smart and wise and know how to make the money, boom, there we go.
There you go. There
There
you
you go.
go.
You gotta play it off. You gotta
Just
twist
just
its
be,
words.
just be careful not to start loving money too much.
Oh, I don't love money that much. Just a tad.
Well, I think everybody can say they love it just a tad, right?
Just a tad. Like, not too much, but I love money.
Yeah, there you go. Understandable. Yeah.
What is the trait you most deplore in yourself?
Hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Man, these questions are deep.
I told you.
I, okay, well, um, I don't like um, I don't like how I tend to procrastinate.
That's a good answer.
I don't like and I don't really procrastinate as much in my ministry or my work as I do my chores.
Yeah.
I tend to find myself slothful. I hate doing laundry. I hate doing dishes. I hate doing these things.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. I
They have to
hate.
be done.
I hate. I don't mind doing laundry. I hate folding laundry.
Oh gosh,
I will
yes.
tell you this
Holding
right
on.
now. I right behind me is a basket, and my parents keep asking me, "Is that dirty clothes?" I said, "No, they're clean. I just don't want to fold." And then see, I hang up my shirts, so that's they air dry. But like, everything else is right there. So like, they don't get wrinkled, so like it's fine.
That's the story of our family. Pretty much. That this pile of clothes right here, are they clean or dirty? I can't remember.
Like
we
I always tell them, make sure there's no clothes in the laundry room that are clean, because then guess what? I'm gonna go say, okay, if they're in the laundry room, they need to be cleaned. So I'll just throw them back in.
Yeah, well, there have been times I let clothes go too long. They were so wrinkled, and I was like, okay, these have been sitting on the floor so long. Of course, this was years ago, but
Years ago, like
I
last
was like,
year.
they've been around too long. I gotta wash them. Yeah,
You say years
it's
ago, but it
still.
really just happened last year.
Well, I would like to think we've gotten better about it,
Yeah,
but we can. But I can still improve.
yeah.
I can still improve. I need once laundry is out of the dryer, it needs to be folded and put away right then and there, and that is still a challenge for me.
Hmm.
Um, it is. It's still a challenge for me, and I hate that. I hate it. I hate that part about myself. I would like for that to improve.
Yeah. If I had to say something, a trait that I deplore about myself, I had to go look up I had to look up the word deplore. I won't lie to you. Yeah. But I think, man, you said procrastination, and I have a huge issue with that. But I don't want to steal that answer, so I'll say, uh, I'll say the same thing but a different word. I'll say my laziness.
Laziness.
I I get these for the last year I was saying we're gonna film a documentary. We're gonna make it. It's coming out. But I've just been like, man, it's just like I blame COVID. I'm just gonna say that I blame it because my creativity has gone down because I was just like, there's nothing open to go do. We were gonna go make this whole documentary thing about uh, Evans vacuums. I don't know if you know about Evans vacuums, but we're gonna
I
go.
never heard of it. No,
You don't?
I don't think so.
Are you Texan? Are you born in Arlington?
Are you talking about that vacuum store on Cooper?
Yes.
Oh yeah, okay,
Do you know the theory
yeah.
about it?
That it's actually a front for some
Yes.
criminal organization
Yes.
because no one ever goes
No one
there.
comes
It's
in
just
and no one comes out.
yeah,
But we
yeah.
were gonna
I
do a
have
whole
heard that theory.
investigative piece on it. Like I was gonna go in with a hidden camera, but then I got scared, so I just didn't make it because I was like, if it's true, I don't want to die.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. Maybe one day I'm just gonna have to venture over there and go in and see what happens.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I say my laziness. You said you're procrastinating.
Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
This is a question that's tended to be favored a lot with my guest, and it's actually a very important question.
Okay.
What do you value most in a friend?
In a friend,
Yeah,
dedication.
that's a good one.
And
I've
by
never heard that one
dedication,
before.
I mean be if you're gonna be my friend, be dedicated to the friendship.
Yeah.
Don't and you don't have to. I mean, you don't need to be smothering, but
Yes.
you do need to be loyal, and you do need to be honest. Don't don't be a jerk. Don't leave me hanging on a wire. If you are say you're going to do something, do it.
Yeah.
If you are not, if you can't do it, just be honest and say sorry. I can't do that, or I don't feel comfortable doing that, or just be honest, and I won't hold it against you. But just be, just be a good friend.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking.
For me, I would say there's two answers because one is very important and the other one's also very important to me. The
Hmm.
first one is loyalty.
Yeah, loyalty.
I, I respect my friend. one of my best friends is named Hunter. Shout out to Hunter if he's listening. We've been friends since high school, freshman year of high school,
Mhm.
and I trust him with everything. You know, I tell him things. I tell him secrets about certain things that I don't tell people about. He tells me things that he doesn't want people to know about.
Sure.
We're very close, and we've had that bond ever since. The next thing I have to say is humor.
Yeah.
You know me, I'm a funny guy. I like to crack jokes, even when it's in the wrong place at the wrong time. And
Yes.
I I always respect Hunter because we would be in the wrong place in the wrong time. I would crack a joke, and then to retaliate, to make me not feel left out, he would crack another joke at the wrong place at the wrong time, so that both of us can be laughing and everybody can look at us like in disapproval. But they have to make me laugh because if you can make me laugh, that means we're happy. I always assume laughter with happiness.
Yes. Yes. No, I agree. I mean, if you can't laugh, then what's the point? You know,
Yes.
humor is part of life's fuel. You know, I believe God has a sense of humor.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. I got two more questions.
Let's have it.
So the first, do you want the fun one or do you want the hard with the deep one?
Okay. In other words, do I want one first? Which one do I want first? Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying? Let's go ahead and do the deep one, and we'll end with the fun one.
All right.
Yeah.
If you can undo one moment in your life, what would it be?
Oh man.
There you go.
You know, if I could do undo one moment in my life, it would be there was well, there are moments that stand out in my mind,
Hmm.
uh, but instead of going that route, I would say a moment as in a period of time instead of an actual individual moment, a particular moment. I would say a period of time, and that was when I was in seventh grade.
Okay.
Being, I was in seventh grade. I was a young teenager, um, and I had social anxiety like nobody's business. I didn't speak out. I allowed things to just happen. I allowed bullies to be bullies. I allowed I allowed myself to just remain in my shell and just not be more social and open. And that pretty much it got better as I got up in age, but I never really came out of my shell until I was a grown adult. And I regret that. I wish that I had been more social. I wish that I had been more extroverted when I was younger, because I missed out on a lot. I really did.
Hmm.
Uh, More could have happened.
Yeah.
Positive things could have happened that did not happen. Now, maybe I did keep myself out of more trouble. There's also that.
Yes.
I wish that I had, if I could go back, I would have done things a little differently.
Yeah.
And not been such a spaz.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I if I had to undo one moment in my life, that's the hard thing is one, and I can name a 40 right now, but I won't.
Yeah, I hear
uh,
you.
man, I think in all honesty, like it's a bad answer, but it's the truth. Is that I would undo all the bad relationships I've had,
That's a
Be-
big one.
because you know, from girlfriends to friends, to relatives, I would undo that one. Now, I'm glad I can't because with those bad relations, it has made me a better person. Uh, with girlfriends, for example, it's made me a what I realize I need to do is that I need to be a different type of man. because I feel like if you with your failed relationships, they teach you something. Like, don't be like that next time. All right.
Yeah.
With friends, it's the same thing. Don't be like that sometimes. But like with family, I you know me. I have a history of with bad relations with family,
Yes.
and you know I don't hate them. That's my thing, is I don't hate them, but I
Oh,
wish that it was a better relationship than what how it turned out.
yeah. Yeah.
And I wish that it sucks how, like, from, like, for example, divorce. I hate divorce.
Mhm.
I'm an advocate against it.
Yeah.
Yet I agree with it. If you're in the wrong relationship, get out of it. That's why I always tell my parents I'm not gonna get married. And they're like, "Why?" I go, "Because I don't want to get divorced. If I get divorced, she's signing a prenup."
Well, it's normal to be afraid of marriage,
Yes.
especially when you're young. But if it's right, it's right.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. If you find the person you love, if it works, great, go for it.
Mm.
But relationships, I think everybody can say this. Relationships are some of the most complex. It's some of the most complex things in this world. But and you explaining what you wish that you could change brought to light other things I've done.
Mm.
There have been people in the past I have hurt,
Exactly.
in past relationships that I've had. I have hurt so badly, not meaning to.
Yes.
Um, and it was I was like, I was, granted, I was very young, I was dumb, and I was just, there are times I think back on that and I'm like, what was I thinking? Why did I do that?
Yep.
Why did I say this? Why did I behave in this manner? That was so irresponsible. But that's normal. Everybody has these relationships in their past that they wish that they could do over.
Yeah.
All we can do is take what happened as a learning experience and use it. Use all these things as a way that we can move forward with more wisdom.
Yes.
You know, that's all I can say.
Oh yeah.
And
Because
they
there's
can,
some things, like, I've had friends, good friends, that I just don't talk to anymore, and it's because we had a falling apart because of something that happened, and I wish I can undo that.
yeah,
Uh,
of
but
course.
but yeah, that's probably the one thing I would go and undo, is just that. All right, Eddie, the final question of this interview,
Let's hear it.
sponsored by Poddex.com. Use promo code TCLIVE to get 10% off your first purchase. I had to do the plug. I'm sorry, I have to. I remember when I had Father Polly on, and I went straight from talking, and I went straight to the ad, and then went back to him, and he's like, "Was that rehearsed?" And I said, "Nope." I'm just so used to doing it now.
Awesome.
So the last question is, you ready for this?
Let's hear it.
You know what? I'm gonna expand this one a little bit more. That way,
Oh
it's more
boy.
fun. What are 5 characteristics that you are known for?
5 characteristics I'm known for.
Yes, and you
Oh
can't go
man.
with the easy ones.
This is a deep question if you want to,
I
especially
thought
since I
it'd be
can't.
fun.
Okay, so 5 characteristics I'm known for: um, being a dork,
All right, that's a good one.
being being goofy.
No, no, no. Goofy and dork mean the same thing.
Really?
Yes.
Think so?
Oh yeah. You
Okay,
know what? I'll even
being
here. What is a synonym for dork?
being how about being a dork and being a joker?
Okay, I'll say that.
A
Being a
joker.
joker.
Yeah, being a big joker. Yeah. Um, I would say getting too easily flustered.
Okay.
Yeah, that's number 3. Number 4, forgetfulness. I I have ADD, and my short term memory is terrible.
Me too.
People think that I'm not listening to them whenever they talk to me, when really it's
But
no. I was
really,
listening. I
you're
just
not.
forgot what you said. I have to, like, I got to write this down every time you tell me something because I'll forget an hour later. And then they're like, "You weren't listening to a thing I was saying." I'm like, "Yeah, I really was." So that forgetfulness. Lastly, I would say um, passionate.
Passionate.
I'm just a very passionate person. I'm very romantic.
Okay.
Whether it comes to music.
Your wife is in the chat, so I want her to verify that. She did say don't forget loud.
Loud, yes. Thank you, sweetie. Yes, I am loud. You are correct. I'm a very loud person. Uh, but yes, okay. So part of my passion is my volume.
There you go. There you go. I like that. See, I would say okay, so you went for um what are the words? I'm looking for. You went for not descriptive. I would have said beard, priest, you know. That's what I would have said
Oh,
about you. So my turn.
uh, yeah, there you go. Yes, please. I want to hear this.
Okay, so my turn. All right. So, number one, if you ask any of my friends, I'm most known for is Trenton Chapel Live. All right.
Yeah.
I everywhere I go, I'm Trenton Chapel Live. They want me to change my legal name to Trenton Chapel hyphen Live. That way, I could just say, "Hey, I'm Trenton Chapel Live," instead of just saying
Right?
Trenton Chapel Live show.
Oh, yeah.
That was the big meme when I was in school. It was, Trenton Chapel Live is here. Everybody wanted to be on Trenton Chapel Live. So that's number one. Number two is, I would say, my beard. I grew up my beard freshman year of high school. So
Yeah, I remember you always had a little facial
I
hair,
did.
Norman.
And I was most known for that. I was known for the kid that had the beard.
Yes.
Uh,
Hmm.
Number three, loud.
Oh. Hmm.
I'm very
Well,
loud, especially when I laugh.
I see. I would not have guessed that one.
Really,
I would not have guessed loud.
really.
I guess I never really thought of you as a very loud person.
I can be quiet sometimes. Like, okay, if I'm in a setting that I'm familiar with people I know, I will be loud because I know them. But if I'm
Hmm.
with a whole bunch of new people I've never met, a new setting, for example, okay, my first day at Christ the Redeemer, I was shy. Everybody would come to talk to me and thank me for what I'm doing, and I just did not know what to say.
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Oh, yeah, no problem," but I was awkward about it. And what sucks is I'm wearing a mask at the exact same time, but I'm
Yeah.
smiling underneath. And I'd be like, "Oh, no problem," and I would smile, and they're like, "Okay," and they'd leave. But really, I was like, "Yeah, thank you." But now that I know everybody there, I'm way more comfortable with people. Everybody comes up to me and says thank you. I'm like, "Hey, don't mention it, man. I just work here," and they know I'm joking.
Well, of course.
Of course,
Yes.
they don't. Oh,
Yeah.
he's not even at church. He's just working
Your
here.
sense of humor is what I've always thought was
That's
the
my
biggest.
next one is sense of humor.
Yes. Yeah.
I, ever since I was like 3, I have to be the center of attention,
Hmm.
and I got there through humor. In
Well,
fact,
I think you were born for this then.
oh, absolutely, I'm an entertainer.
Yeah, you're an entertainer, right?
That's
Right.
what I think. That's what God told me. He's like, you know what? When He made me with the Play-Doh molds and everything, He's like, this one's gonna be an entertainer. All right, he's gonna be funny.
Are you a fan of Rhett and Link?
Of course,
Okay, good.
I grew up
They're
watching
good
them.
people. So I'm a fan too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there.
Uh, oh man, I've been watching a lot of stuff now. I've actually stopped watching comedy and got into more documentaries now because
Uh
I'm trying
huh.
to learn different techniques of how to film,
Yeah.
and that's
Good.
what I've
Good
been
for you.
focusing on. I think my humor is more Chris Farley.
Awesome.
I just I have to go to the extreme to make people laugh. That's what I
Well,
do.
Chris Farley did have to go to the extreme.
He did.
If it wasn't for his weight,
Yeah.
he wouldn't have been as funny.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely
not
not.
I'm not
I've
comparing that to you,
hang on,
but
hang on. No, no, no. I will say this. The bigger the guy, the funnier he is. Okay?
yes,
There's
yes.
no question. These little like ripped guys are not funny. They're jerks. They are not funny. And anybody who
Yeah.
comes up to me, look at all the comedians, male comedians out there. They are a bit bigger. Burt Kreischer, Tom Segura, And there's Joe Rogan, but he's ripped, but he's funny.
There was
Um,
Ralph today.
yep.
Yeah.
Farley. Oh, Buscemi.
Yeah.
All funny, and they were bigger.
Hmm.
And
Oh yeah.
that's always what I've been saying. It's like the bigger the guy, the funnier he is.
Hmm. Yeah. Amen to
Oh yeah,
that.
that's gonna be my next sermon. Tune in.
There you guess. Well, yeah. Well. Hmm.
And I guess my last one, man, this is hard. My last characteristic, man, I don't even know.
Yeah, I know.
Probably,
I feel that. It's very hard to come up with these.
I'm gonna. You know what? I'll just say I can also be a romantic. Uh,
There you go.
I'll say that. There you go. I don't
Well,
get.
yeah.
I don't
Passion.
date anymore, but when I do date, I'm romantic. I try to be, and
Well.
so I think right now God's telling me like, yeah, don't date right now. Focus on yourself. You're funnier without somebody.
Well, I think that you.
I'm charming. That's the
I
word.
can see that about you. You know. Well, yeah, charming. I mean,
Charming. We're all charming,
overall,
but we have our own different type of charming. My dad explained that the best to me
yes.
because I was sitting with my two older brothers and we asked my dad, Rick, I go, what would you say? What's the difference between the three of us? There's a huge difference between the three of us. And he goes, well, you're all charming, but in different ways. Garrett is charming in the way that he. I always said Garrett was the better looking one. That's if you look at three brothers, there's always that one that's better looking.
Yeah.
He's fun to hang out with. He's the popular one. He's
Hmm.
charming with like being Garrett. That's what he said.
Yes.
Jackson is charming in the way that he is supportive. He's, you know, caring. He's big on family and everything.
Yeah.
And then he goes to me. He goes, Trayden, you're charming in the way that you're just funny. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So these guys get whole paragraphs, and I just get funny. I feel like I'm like the final like written answer. Like just he's
Well,
okay.
yeah, yeah. Well, you are. You know what? You are funny. I think you're one of those guys that we can just look at you. You start talking, and then naturally you just put a smile on our face.
Yep.
You have that type of personality. I'm not going to say you naturally look like a smart aleck, but I mean, yeah, you just have that. I can't explain it. You just have that
Yep.
demeanor to you, that
Yeah.
look where I can be like, okay, this guy's gonna give me a run for my money. He's
Yep.
gonna be. And I got to be honest, I was a little nervous coming on your show because I was gonna be like, what? Huh? He's gonna be a joker. He's going to throw curveballs all at me, and he's gonna laugh about it. And but no, this has been great though. This
Oh, of
has been.
course.
Yeah,
You know, you're the first one to ever tell me that they were worried about coming on the show. Uh,
well, I wasn't. I was just a little
I know
nervous. I
what you
wasn't
mean by it.
worried.
You
I
know,
wasn't worried.
because I
Yeah.
tend to like if you ever have you ever watched Joe Rogan?
No, I don't believe so.
So do you know who Joe Rogan is?
I've heard the name.
Okay, so Joe Rogan is a comedian,
Okay.
and he hosts a podcast called the Joe Rogan Experience,
Okay.
and he gets deep with his interviews. He's like, tell me about your childhood, tell me about this. Why do you think this is a certain? Why do you think Christians act this certain way? Kind of questions. Why do people not like Christians? He gets deep with them, and I've taken inspiration from him and Howard Stern. Now,
Hmm.
Howard Stern, if you know the history of Howard Stern, he was the shock jock,
Oh, I know. Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
I've taken both his transformations from original Howard Stern, from being like, "Yo, we're live in the studio with the supermodel and she's eating pie off the floor," to
Yeah.
to now where he's like serious. He's like, "All right, I want to know about you," and so that's what my show is mainly turning into. I started the show as just a joke with my friends and just to hang out with them and talk to them and get funny with them. And now it's evolving into like, so tell me about Christ. Like, why is Christ, kind of thing. So I get what
Okay.
you're saying. Like you're like, oh man, he's gonna give me a run for my money. He's gonna ask me questions about things I'm not gonna know.
Yeah. Well, you just have that personality, but no, you've actually been super chill, super
Oh
cool.
yeah.
It has been enjoyable.
Oh absolutely.
Yeah.
I
You've asked
tried.
good
I try.
questions.
I try.
Well, yeah, you're a good guy. You ask good questions.
Thank you.
So
I mainly just come I bring people on here so they can teach me. You know.
and you know, in your line of work, we all learn a little something from each other.
Yes.
We do. You learn from me. I learn from you. I just learned some things that I thought was kind of neat. So
Yeah.
so
Like the
uh,
Noah's Ark theory.
the Noah's Ark theory was that is a new one. I'm gonna take that with me,
Yeah.
and you know, I'll on a night when I'm sitting with someone having a beer, we will discuss that and
Yeah.
have a good laugh. You
Yeah.
know?
Of course. Eddie, I want to thank you for coming on my show. Um,
Absolutely.
it has been a blast having you on.
Thank you for having me, Trenton. This
Of
has been
course.
a blast for me.
Oh yeah. It's a new experience.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, it is a new experience. And I enjoy being able to. I like the fact that you were able to ask me these questions. I'm able to air them. People can hear them. They can consider them.
Hmm.
You know, consider what I had to say. Take it for what it's worth. I like to try to get the word out every way I can.
Of course.
So this is great.
And
Yeah.
that's why I do it is to give people platforms. You know,
Yeah.
if I know that we've pushed your episode back a couple times
Yeah.
because we had the whole election going on,
You're an
and
important man.
I had to get them on before May 1st. Of course, they all ended in runoff, so I was like, all right, I have to at least get Eddie on the show. Then we'll bring you back on. To bring all these people
No,
back on.
I appreciate that. You're a busy man. You got important things to do,
Yeah,
but I'm just happy and humbled that you asked me.
yeah.
So
I
thank you.
usually get like the people I grew up with, like Father Mark Polly. I had him on the show, and I just absolutely adore that man. I think he's
His,
hilarious.
his office is right next to mine. It's to my right.
Yeah, go get
Yeah,
him. I
yeah.
want to see if he gets. Is he busy?
Oh, he just left. Actually, he
Oh,
left a few minutes
lame.
ago. Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
even. It's like noon. Why is he leaving early?
Oh well, Fridays here at St. Vincent's are half days.
Okay.
Normally, I would be wrapping it up about a little earlier actually, but I decided to stay and have this interview.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I had Culpepper. Culpepper was a new priest to me, and I had him on the show because now
Okay.
he's my, my rector now. I
Yeah.
go to his church. I had
Yeah.
Hightower on, of course. He was my first priest.
Uh-huh.
That was a really interesting. I was actually at St. Vincent's filming that episode in his
Oh,
office
okay.
when he was
Okay.
supposed to be
Nice.
retired.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, he's been busy since he's retired.
Yeah, he has. Well, I want to tell you, man, thank you again for coming on the show. I know you're a busy man, and we've been trying to plan this episode the right way, trying to get it to where both of us had a good time, and I'm glad you came on.
Good
Uh,
time. Yes. I've had a blast.
oh, thank you. You definitely have to come back on. I'm trying to get one episode where we get all the
Please.
priests together.
Oh, that would be something.
That'd be fun,
That would be fun.
cause like
That would be.
cause they every question I ask you, like the ghost question,
Yeah.
they answer in a completely different way from different people,
You're going to get different answers
and
from
it's
different people.
interesting.
Yeah. You're going to get different answers from different people. So I'm glad that you could get my input on
Of
that one.
course,
Yeah.
guys. Next week we're having Tarrant County District Clerk candidate uh, Larry Mike on the show. He's a good friend of mine, and I'm very excited to have him on the show. But today we had Eddie Fitzhugh, Anglican priest at St. Vincent's. Eddie, is there anything that you want to shout out or plug in the ending of the show?
Um, Follow Jesus. He is the way, the truth, and the life.
That's a good
That's
one.
what I have to say.
That's a good one.
No one. I'll tell you. I'll put it to you this way: no one in history has ever changed history like Jesus did.
That's
His
right.
apostles, his apostles, all were tortured, uh, died horrible deaths proclaiming Christ. They all swore that he was the Son of God, and they all died horrific deaths none of them, uh, taking back what they said. Not a single one of them said, "Okay, no, I take it back. I'm just lying," or "No, he was not really who he said he was." Every one of them went to the grave with it, and so they were a testimony, and I continue to give that testimony.
Yeah. Well, guys, if you want more Church and Chapel Live or more Chapel Media things, our website, Chapel Media, is out now. Man, that was a gruesome year to get that out. I had to like buy the domain name. I had to get the name licensed under my name. It was just, oh my gosh. But chapelmedia.com is out. It's super easy. CHAPPELL media, MEDIA. I almost misspelled media.com. We have all the documentaries, all of our shorts, all of our new series. We have a new series out now. What do you do? We filmed the first episode and it's out right now. The second episode will be out next week, hopefully. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Uh, but guys, thank you again for watching. Thank you again to Eddie for coming on the show. And I hope we can get him back on the show. Eddie, if you don't leave, I'm gonna have you talk. Me and you are gonna talk for a second after the show. You are in trouble. No, I'm kidding. You're not. But guys, thank you again. We're out of here, and it's been Trent Trip Alive. Peace.
Peace.